One of the annoying things about running rigid body simulations in Blender is that you're not always clear about whether or not the simulation resets. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. So here I have this jalopy. It's all set up with rigid bodies and rigid body constraints. And here you can see I have the acceleration at 100. So it's going to accelerate and hit these bumps when I hit play. So I hit play, it hits the bumps just like you'd expect it. If I move one of these speed bumps, let me move it along to X. Let's see what happens then. It reset the simulation and it's not hitting that speed bump. Well, let's do something else, and now I'm not going to have it accelerate at all. So I'm going to set the acceleration to 0. And watch what happens. It still accelerates, which means it didn't reset the simulation. So what I recommend you do, so it seems like if you move a rigid body like this one, like the speed bump, it will reset the simulation. But I wouldn't make that a guarantee. But when you change some of the drivers, it very often does not reset the simulation. So what I recommend you do is you take an empty, we're going to be setting up this controller empty. You come over here and you just cycle it on as a rigid body constraint and then turn it back off. So I'm going to do that. And now when we replay it, it should reset the simulation, and now that my acceleration is 0, it shouldn't move at all, and it doesn't. So that's something to really watch out for about rerunning simulations. I've run into issues before. We're going to have all sorts of parameters we're going to be able to change through these custom properties and drivers. And I've had issues before where I'm trying to fix a problem, making it, tuning the suspension or something, and I'll change something like the spring stiffness. Rerun it, notice no changes, and feel like something's wrong. But the reality, what's really going on is that it's not resetting the simulation. So we'll be going over it later, of course, but we want to get into a habit of whenever we want to run the simulation, we want to make sure it's reset by doing something like this procedure. And we also want to save it, because anytime you press play, it can crash.